Hello, and welcome to the Tuning In podcast. I'm Dana Evans, your inner voice and emotional support coach. In this podcast, we explore the deep wisdom that lives in our bodies, emotions, and inner voice. Together, we'll shed the layers that no longer serve us, creating space to tap into the flow of life and experience true ease. So, are you ready to join me? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. Today, I am going to elaborate on last week's episode because some big insights came through since I shared that. So if you did listen to the last episode, 168, where I said how one hard conversation, unlocked complete flow. It was about the cat, the dog, the friend, the unexpected truth moment that unfolded. Well, then you already know a piece of the story. It was a beautiful moment. It felt honest, aligned, clear. And I got so many messages from people saying, that really resonated. This is the kind of truth that I'm trying to speak. I loved that episode too. It felt so me. Because it was the first time in a while where I felt like I shared a new part of myself with you all. But what I didn't talk about in that episode was everything that came before it. Because that truth didn't just arrive. It wasn't a spontaneous download from the universe. It was the result of something deeper. Something I'd been working on quietly behind the scenes for a long time. The moment itself was a blossom, but the roots, they've been growing for a while. And if I'm honest, last year left me wondering if the roots were even real. So, in this episode, I want to take you underneath that moment, into the stillness, the spiraling, the vulnerability hangovers, the arguments, and the choosing again and again to stay with myself. This is the story of what healing has looked like for me lately. Not the highlights, but the in-between. For a long time, I've been doing this work. Emotional clearing, listening to my inner voice, tending to my emotions, tracking patterns, breaking old cycles. Any type of emotional, energetic work, you name it, I've done it. But for a while last year, I started to wonder, is this even working? I was putting in the time, the attention, the energy, and yet I didn't always feel better. In fact, sometimes I felt worse. More tender, more reactive, less patient. Not as fun or easygoing as I used to be. Like I was sinking deeper instead of rising up. And I knew logically that healing isn't linear. But still, I found myself asking, what is the point of all this if I don't feel the fruits of it? So when winter came, I let myself pull back. Not as an escape, but as an act of devotion. I didn't try to fix how I was feeling. I didn't try to perform my way through it. Instead, I gave myself full permission to enter a way of operating that I call minimum viable effort. If this term is new to you, it basically means what is the minimum amount of effort you can put out in order to tend to life's things, the things that need lifing. So it's not a complete retreat where you give up all of your obligations and your responsibilities and you completely focus on yourself. But minimum viable effort is what is the least I can do in order to keep things running as necessary, but also without overexerting or over-efforting or overdoing. It's really an invitation to scale back. And I like this term minimal viable effort, which I don't know, that's what I call it. I like it because for each person in their own unique life circumstances, they're able to adapt it to what works for them. So for me, I stopped chasing productivity and I truly simplified everything. Dinner became, here's a quesadilla. Here's rice and beans with vegetables. I said no to a lot of friend hangouts. I wasn't returning texts right away. And I removed a lot of unnecessary inputs like podcasts, social media, even emails. Because we live in a world of constant output and constant input. And it's in that noise that we lose the one thing that matters the most: our ability to in-source. When you move from maximum output and input to minimum viable effort, you're actually able to get quiet enough to hear what's actually true, not what's loud or urgent or expected of you. So this winter, I let myself get still. I slept more. I sat in my dark room with a book. I took a bath. I cried. I walked. I didn't look for answers. I just let myself be in the unknown, the darkness, the through. Because clarity doesn't always come when we want it, but it does come when we make space for it. And slowly, softly, something in me started to clear. Then came March. My birthday, a family trip, old patterns suddenly resurfacing, my in-laws planning a visit, a friend visiting me, as you heard about in the last episode, and a visit to see my parents. It felt like every area of my life, family, friendship, relationships, was suddenly on deck, one after another, no space in between. And I could feel it, the pace picking up, my old patterns starting to wake up. That part of me that wanted to say, it's fine, I'll just push through. I don't want to upset anyone. I'll be fine. That version of me, the one who avoids conflict at all costs, she was ready to take the wheel. And I almost let her. One night, a fight started with my husband. It flared fast. We were both tired. And suddenly, we were mid-argument. And I couldn't even tell you what it was about. But as I was in the fight, feeling angry and reactive, there was another part of me that was out of it, who was watching. And that part of me was the voice that I've been building within myself. She whispered, "You don't have to do it like this anymore." That snapped me out of the fight. We walked away. We took some space for ourselves. I cried. I journaled. And the old version of me, who would honestly have iced my husband out, withdrawn, punished him, she was there. But I didn't choose her. After some time apart, letting that old part of me yell at me, vow silence and to be cold, I let her have a fit. I let her speak. But I didn't let her lead. Instead, the new me led. And in that moment, I chose to walk into my husband's office and said, "Can I have a hug? I love you, and I don't want to fight with you. I don't want both of our days to be ruined over something that doesn't even matter." And the beautiful thing is he met me. He didn't pull away or reject me. He allowed me in. He welcomed the clearing, the apologies followed. And after that, we were closer than we were before. In the days that followed the argument, I felt us more connected, more in love, more concerned and tending to each other. That argument is just an example because this didn't just happen once. In fact, in March, I had 4 difficult conversations. Each one gave me the chance to let the wiser version of me, the one I've been growing quietly, to step forward. And every time I moved through the discomfort, I was met with love, with expansion, not contraction, not disconnection, not danger. That old belief that conflict means loss and rejection started to dissolve. Because conflict, I learned, is part of life. And moving through it is often more fruitful than if we continue to avoid it. While all of this was happening, something else was unfolding as well. You see, I'd been going on regular walks with my neighbor. And after almost every one, I'd spiral. I'd text her, "I hope I didn't talk too much. I'm sorry if that came off weird." I was feeling uncomfortable because she was seeing all of me. At this point, we were walking starting in January multiple times a week for up to 90 minutes. She was seeing the tired me, the cranky me, the sarcastic me, the me who was in the middle of a fast, not eating, the not super fun versions of me. And I gotta be honest, it terrified me. The part of me that believed you have to be joyful to be lovable. You have to be polished to be safe. You have to be pleasant to belong. She was afraid. One day, I finally said something to my friend. I said, "I think I'm having massive vulnerability hangovers after our walks. And I just want to thank you for holding me in this, for allowing all of me to be seen." And she didn't flinch. She got it. She stayed. And I realized the hangovers weren't a problem. They were a symptom of healing. My body was learning how to hold the discomfort of not being perfect. And when I started tending to my nervous system afterward, the spiral softened, the apologies stopped, the panic quieted. And I saw something else. Even if I say something off, I can talk about it. I can repair it. I can clear the air. And that is so freaking cool. Somewhere between all of this, I changed. And I feel more me than I've ever felt before. Not because I'm more polished, but because I'm more integrated. Because I can hear myself clearly. I can speak the truth. I can choose connection instead of abandoning myself. And that part of me who used to be terrified of being rejected, well, she's quieter now too. Because when you're in harmony with yourself, rejection doesn't feel so threatening. You know who you are. You know how you're showing up. You can stand by your truth, even if it doesn't land for everyone. And this shift, well, it's showing up everywhere. In my friendships, where I feel more grounded and present. On this podcast, where I'm sharing with you more honestly. With my family, where I'm setting boundaries without guilt or fear. on social media where I'm posting without spiraling and doubting my words, and most of all, in my inner dialogue. I can feel when something is off. I can speak up before I explode. I can recover faster. I can name what I need. I can let people see me in motion, not just in my polished arrival. And maybe the most powerful of all, I'm not rejecting myself either, which is what makes rejection from others feel so much less scary. Because I've got me. I've got my own back. And I'm connected to the truth that I speak. Truly, though, I'm not sure this episode is really about me. Maybe it's a mirror. Maybe it's reflecting back onto you. Perhaps you've been doing the work too, quietly, steadily in the background, yet wondering, does it even matter? Is it even working? Maybe you've questioned if you're making progress because your growth hasn't arrived in the way you expected, with big moments of joy or major insights and clarity downloads. But what if your growth is here? What if it's showing up in how you recover, in how you speak up, in how you return home to yourself in difficult moments? What if it's more subtle than loud? That's what March really taught me. Transformation doesn't always look like bliss. Sometimes it looks like staying in the room when you want to flee, or asking for a hug when you want to protect yourself. Sometimes it looks like choosing softness over silence. So if you're somewhere in the messy middle, in the in-between, take a breath. You're not broken. You're building your roots. You're not lost or behind. You're becoming. And if I can leave you with one nugget that stood out through all of this, it's that you don't have to be perfect to be loved, and you don't have to be polished to be powerful. You just have to be you. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. And if this episode resonates, I'd love to hear. These are really meaningful episodes for me. I'm really tapped into the emotion of what they bring up and the shifts that are coming through. So you can always text this episode. It's a link in the show notes, and just let me know what came through for you. Or, of course, as always, sharing this with anyone that it would support is a great way to spread the word about this work. So we'll see you next week. I have another beautiful share with you. This one came through while I was on a hike, and I had some massive insights, and it was all about moving through anger. So if that is interesting to you, stay tuned. That is coming next week on the Tuning In podcast. Bye. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Tuning In podcast. If you loved this episode, please rate and review it or share it with a friend. If you want to go deeper into the realm of emotions and learn the language of your body, check out my audio course, Emotions Decoded, at alignful.com/audio. As always, you can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans. See you next week.